Welcome to another session with Speak with Larry. My name is Larry James. I own a company called Speak with Larry, no spaces. And this is another course that I've created in line with understanding the stock market. This is another lecture that I'm sharing with you guys today in line with the stock market. Now, my company teaches people how to set up the foundation of an online business while helping them become more comfortable speaking about it. And what I'm doing this 2021, this short 3 month period, which is what my company teaches you in a 3 month period, is to how to create your own online presence or your online business so that you can start to generate an income from home while you're sharing information about what it is that you love. Now, today I'm going to talk about what is the S&P 500 index. Again, the stock market is the topic. Let's say your topic was, we'll say, outdoor adventures, right? You're going to be sharing information about outdoor adventures in each video that you create for your course. Now, you get the opportunity to select how you want to structure your course. Do you want it in one segment, one big segment, or do you want it in 3 segments or 5 segments? However you want to do that, it's all up to you. It's a learning process, but what it actually does is it allows you to create or understand a new skill. See, skills are what's marketable. And when things are marketable, you can generate income from those. So I'm not going to take too long on this video because what I try to do is I try to give more value in the third video, the third segment that I'm creating, which is where we are right now. March, April, and May were my 3 months that I selected to create this online presence or this online course. And if you were following along and duplicating the same process, you would have already 2 courses that you're selling, which I do. One for, I'm not going to tell you, but if you purchase those, you already know. But this one is the final course in those 3, understanding the stock market, phase 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to combine all 3 and put a price point on those. How cool is that, right? All in a 98 period. Now you have an income coming in, that you can, scale your business with if you're doing it correctly. And if you're not, it's practice for you, right? Because sometimes, it takes longer for others to actually, get the understanding. So with that, I'm going to begin. So what is the S&P 500? Well, the S&P 500 or the Standard & Poor's 500 index is a market capitalization weighted index of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the United States. It's not an exact list of the top 500 US companies by market capitalization because there are other criteria to be included in the index. Now, the index is widely regarded as the best gauge of large cap US equities. And other common US stock market benchmarks include the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the Dow 30 and the Russell 2000 index, which represents the small cap indexes. The S&P does not currently provide the total list of all 500 companies on its website outside of the top 10. And many of the top companies in the S&P 500 include technology firms and financial businesses. Now we're going to go into a segment about weighting. Now that's WEIGHTING, weighting formula and calculation for the S&P 500. The S&P 500 uses market capitalization weighting method, giving a higher percentage allocation to companies with the largest market capitalization. Determination of the weighting of each component of the S&P 500 begins with summing the total market's cap for the index. So calculate the total market cap for the index by adding all the market caps of the individual companies. The weighting of each company in the index is calculated by taking the company's market capitalization and dividing it by the total market cap of the index. Now, as a review, think about this. The market capitalization of a company is calculated by taking the current stock price and multiplying it by the company's outstanding shares. Got it? Now, fortunately, the total market cap of the S&P, as well as the market caps of individual companies, is published frequently on financial websites, saving investors the need to calculate them. Got it? That's simple enough, right? Now, you see, this is how this process works. As you're creating your content, you would share your content via video, just like I'm doing, and you would explain a little along the way, and then you would get better at, reading, which helps your reading skills, your comprehension skills. See, this process helps you internally because as you grow, you're going to be asked to speak about what it is that you do. And you want to be able to articulate exactly what your message is, okay? So the next segment we're going to go into is the S&P index construction. Now, the market capitalization of a company is calculated by taking the current stock price and multiplying it by the outstanding shares, right? So the S&P only uses what's called free floating shares, meaning the shares that the public can trade. The S&P adjusts each company's market cap to compensate for new share issues or company mergers. And the value of the index is calculated by totaling the adjusted market caps of each company and dividing the results by a divisor. Unfortunately, the divisor is proprietary information of the S&P and is not released to the public. However, we can calculate a company's weighting in the index, which can provide investors with valuable information. Now, if a stock rises or falls, we can get a sense of as to whether it might have an impact on the overall index. For example, a company with a 10% weighting will have a greater impact on the value of the index than a company with a 2% weighting. And an important note is that the S&P 500, the S&P 500's most recent rebalancing was announced on March 12, 2021, and took effect before markets opened on March 22nd, 2021. And NXP Semiconductors, or NXPI, Penn National Gaming, PENN, the ticker symbol, Generac Holding, GNRC, ticker symbol, Caesars Entertainment, CZR, ticker symbol, were added to the S&P 500. Now that semiconductors ticker symbol was NXPI. Got that? Now they replaced Xerox Holding, which ticker symbol was XRX, Flowserve, which ticker symbol was FLS, and SL Green Realty, whose ticker symbol was SLG, and Vontier, whose ticker symbol was VNT. Okay? All right. I hope you're following along fairly easily with this process. It's really easy once you kind of get a hang of it and by the time you get to where you are right now, you probably know a lot more than you did in the beginning, especially about the stock market, because I did some really good research on this section. Now, the next topic we're going to talk about is the widely quoted S&P 500. The S&P 500 is one of the most widely quoted American indexes because it represents the largest publicly traded corporations in the United States. The S&P 500 focuses on the U.S. market's large cap sector and is also a float weighted index, meaning company market capitalizations are adjusted by the number of shares available for public trading. Okay. Now we're going to do a little comparing, like when we're sharing information, or you'll be sharing information, you'll share information about what your topic is versus, something that's also in line with that. So on this segment, we're going to talk about the S&P 500 versus the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or the DJIA. The S&P 500 is often the institutional investors' preferred index given its depth and breadth, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average has historically been associated with the retail investors' gauge of the United States stock market. And institutional investors perceive the S&P 500 as more representative of United States equity markets because it compares more stocks across all sectors. 500 versus the Dow's 30 in the industries or industrials. Furthermore, the S&P 500 uses a market capitalization weighting method, giving a higher percentage allocation to companies with the largest market capitalizations, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price-weighted index that gives companies with larger stock prices a higher index weighting. The market capitalization weighting structure is more common than the price-weighted method across U.S. industries or indexes. Now we're going to compare the S&P 500 to the Russell indexes. The S&P 500 is a member of a set of indexes created by the Standard & Poor's Company. The Standard & Poor's set of indexes are like the Russell index families in that both are investable market capitalization weighted, unless stated otherwise, like equal weighted indexes. However, there are two large differences between the construction of the S&P and the Russell family of indexes. First, Standard & Poor's chooses constituent companies via a committee, while Russell indexes uses a formula to choose stocks to include. And second, there are no name overlap within the S&P style indices, growth versus value, while Russell indexes will include the same company in both the value and the growth style indexes. Simple enough, right? Okay, now we're going to talk about other S&P indices. The S&P is a member of the S&P Global 1200 family of indices. Other popular indices include the S&P Mid-Cap 400, which represent mid-cap range of companies, and the S&P Small Cap 600, which represents small cap companies. The S&P 500, S&P Mid-Cap 400, and the S&P Small Cap 600 combine to create U.S. All Capitalization Index known as the S&P Composite 1500. Okay? See, that's interesting stuff as you get more versed in the stock market, and you'll find that out later. Now I want to talk about the S&P 500 versus the Vanguard 500 fund. The Vanguard 500 index fund seeks to track the price and yield performance of the S&P 500 index by investing its total net assets in the stocks comprising the index and holding each component with approximately the same weight as the S&P index. And this way, the fund barely deviates from the S&P, which it is designed to mimic. The S&P 500 is an index, but for those who want to invest in the companies that comprise the S&P, they must invest in a fund that tracks the index, such as the Vanguard 500 fund. Okay? Now, we're going to go into limitations of the S&P 500 index. One of the limitations of the S&P and other indexes that are market cap weighted arises when stocks in the index become overvalued, meaning they rise higher than their fundamental warrant. If a stock is a heavy weighting in the index while being overvalued, the stock typically inflates the overall value or price of the index. And a rising market cap of a company isn't necessarily indicative of a company's fundamentals, but rather it reflects the stock's increase in value relative to shares outstanding. And as a result, equal weighted indices or indexes have become increasingly popular, whereby each company's stock price movements have an equal impact on the index. Okay. Finally, the S&P 500 market cap example would be, in order to understand how the underlying stocks affect the S&P index, the individual market weights must be calculated, which is done by dividing the market capitalization of each company by the total market capitalization of the index. Okay? Wow, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? But see, this, I told you this phase three goes a little deeper. It actually requires you to have a better understanding of phase one and phase two, because they all work in conjunction to get you to this point. And once you get to this point, what I'm saying to you, you kind of understand because you've done the research with phase one and phase two, which is exactly the way you would set your system up based on your topic, right? And at the end of the day, once you have the product finished, then you just figure out what the next thing you want to discuss, you want to share information about. Now, that can be something you already like, or something you love, or something you want to learn about, like this, because the world has changed a lot from how we can learn and share information about what we learn, and put a price point on it so that people can, allow you to grow your system by buying your products and your services. It's a beautiful thing. And I really appreciate you investing in who you are so that you can move your system to the next level, because that's what's important. Little by little, you can get there. But you don't want to do it all at once because it's too many moving parts. But small bites consistently will get you there. It always has gotten people there. So with that, again, I appreciate you investing in this system, and I hope that you're gaining as much information about it in a way that's helping you to grow who you are and where you're wanting to go. And with that, my name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry, no spaces. And as always, share with someone else what I've shared with you.